We got to this one address. I said, this one goes around back. He went around back, boom, drove off, left them right at the stop.
That was after getting hit by a car. That
Wait,
was another.
You got hit by a car?
I ended up drinking 24 Bud Lights in about 48 minutes. Drunken nomad stumbles out in the road and he hit me going 30 miles an hour.
What's up, everybody? And yes, we are back. This is it. I think we just took too long, honestly. But it's time. It's time now. So thank you all for joining us. Again, starting over, this is episode 1 of All in the Delivery. Let me introduce to you guys my co-host down in West By Gall, Virginia, Luke. How's it going, buddy?
Man, to hear episode 1, it's like coming back full circle. We're going from 100 and something back to 1. But let me tell you something to just get into good form here, because we were saying, this going back to the delivery content. So coming out with a banger, episode 1, because as we record this, Dave's been on vacation, so I haven't talked to him very much this week. So I'm coming in. This is a Friday. we don't get the green light anymore because of the Diet 6s, which we'll get into later. And I get a message to get a pickup that is nearby me Friday. I'm the only one around, whatever. I get this message at about 4:30. I go to this pickup and there's one box. And this is a bulk pickup, man. They have 2 pickups. One they get the initial about 3:30, and then there's a sweep that comes around 5, and that's what I have. And even the sweep will have like 15 at least. One fucking box. So I have international packages. My route is close to the building, so when I need to drop stuff off, I just run to the building and drop it off. As you know, well now as well, Dave, we can get into that later if you'd like, buddy, with your new route. So this is how I'll just end this for the drivers out there. So I get to my building at about 5 after 5, and 2 of my neighboring routes, I see one on one side of the building in their regular clothes in their car, and I'm like, huh. I drive around the other side of the building and I see the other one in his personal car with it running. And I'm like, huh. So I had to go, classic driver moment. I think everybody's been there a time or two where you have a what the fuck moment. And I had one today, and it was perfect because it was the first time we were going to record, and it couldn't have happened on a better day. So that's how the day went. Everything's been good. Otherwise, just happy to be back, brother.
Hell yeah. It is good to be back, man. And like I said at the start, it's definitely time. It's definitely time. Like the hiatus, the break, whatever you want to call it. It was good. And I think at that time when we decided to stop, at least for me personally, like I had a lot of stuff going on. I think at that time I had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old when we just got done recording All in the Delivery episode 100, now I got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. So it's like, the boys keeping me busy, my kids keeping me busy. You were 1 month before Willow was being born, so like you guys had crazy shit going on too, obviously, in your life.
It was like 3 weeks. It wasn't even a month. It was like right at the end.
Dude.
It's so true.
So it's like I think just knowing our lives are going to be changing more, like at least that's the way I see it. You know what I mean? Like, and then it was a needed break. Did we want to, like, I didn't want to stop, obviously. Like, we were rolling. I love doing this.
Well,
and but yeah.
I think I can say, and moving forward, we'll get into that later. But to talk a little bit about, before I don't really, I feel like it was. I think you were the one that brought it up, but I was feeling it. I just didn't say it out loud, and I think it was just because what's going to be different moving forward with this is, uh, back we had a lot of I mean, I don't wanna say baggage, but there had been a lot of stuff that we'd had a lot go on in 100 and some episodes, and a lot of changes that were, obviously with the
We could have
kids,
had
with
our
the
own Netflix
families.
special.
We really probably could have at that point, but, what's crazy about that is, I guess I can go ahead and, bring this up now because it was talking about the past.
Mhm.
We talked to so we never really we were always kind of vague, with what happened when Bobby had left the podcast, and we had already we'd been years had passed. We were moved on from it, and nothing was going to really be said. Like we just but as fate would kind of have it, we were part of us doing this now, restarting this, we said, with Dave and not just being the two of us, so that it it's we're a lot more experienced, and we kind of know what to expect, and we can do it how we want to do it from the get-go, because we have a good rapport and a good communication. And obviously when you start this shit, and I mean, we we didn't know what the fuck we were doing. I've said it on the old episodes. If you listen to anything of for all the old listeners, I've always said, for this being episode 1, dude, our first episode 1, before, I was in a living room with the TV on. My wife was on the phone with one of her friends on speakerphone. I had my cat, my dog just fucking running around like that's how fucking clueless we were. Like we really didn't know what to expect, but I don't want to I mean, I think you would agree with me there, but I don't want
Oh
to I don't
yeah.
want to I don't want to fucking differ. I don't want to pull too far away, because this is actually a good thing to bring up. We we never had really any answers. That's why it was always vague, and
Hmm.
I think we let stuff. I think with us, with Bobby, as fate would have it, I I actually messaged him, because there's been a couple of people have said on the we can say this later, but Bobby had deactivated his account. So he's not blocking anybody right now. If you listen to this, if he might be back on when we release this, but he has deactivated his account. But because of that, me not knowing that, I thought that he had blocked me after all these years. And so basically, I'll just say this: I'd sent a text message that aired out some stuff that I wanted to say for a while, and I wasn't really expecting him to respond, and he did, and he wanted to speak. So I said, "We'll I'll only talk if this includes Dave too," because to this point, this was the first conversation the three of us had had in almost 4 years. In
Yeah.
January, it would have been. So, to summarize for all the listeners of the past, and for anybody moving forward, you probably wouldn't know anything about this, but this is more for anybody that had listened before and was always kind of left. I just wanted to leave this, that everything was hashed out, all the air was cleared. He apologized on his end on how he left stuff, kind of, not giving us an explanation on things, and he gave us his reasons why, and it
Mhm.
absolutely made sense. And we talked on the phone for a while. It felt like, it was old times. We were on the phone for probably over an hour and a half, and it was good to I mean, it as far as I'm concerned, I never really had anything bad to say about Bobby. I had a lot of animosity for how stuff had went down, but I kept my mouth shut and kept quiet, and it kind of just festered, you know. So
Mm,
anything, I never said anything, and I was gonna explain everything on this was gonna go a very different way. I will say that. And we'd actually talked and finally spoke, and it was good. I can say that there is no, I don't know if for any of the old listeners that would think there was, you know, I know there is no beef there. Everybody's good. I apologize for things on my end on certain stuff, and we it was good. It was a healing conversation. I think we all needed it, and I think honestly, sometimes time it takes time to have a conversation like that because I don't know if we
sure.
would have been able to do it at the time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But that I wanted to make sure that was said that moving forward. I mean, we didn't get into a whole lot. He's doing, he's doing his own thing. He's focused on family time. His kids are grown and growing up. So I would say you'll probably, for the listeners that follow him on Instagram and stuff, I would say he may be back, he may not be, but I would say he will. He never said that he wouldn't,
Mm-hmm.
but with all in the delivery and the three of us, it was everything's rock solid and everything's good. So I just wanted to throw that in there moving
Definitely,
forward.
definitely some closure on both sides.
Yeah, a lot of closure
So
because we said we had said some stuff that he wasn't really he I think it was good, and yeah,
yeah,
there was closure on both sides for
yeah,
sure.
and
And
I think that's what both parties needed. Like honestly, like that's
yeah, I
you know.
agree. It was and I fucking I obviously wish him the best, and if he ever does come back in the social media realm, I will say it does stuff gets just like with podcasting. He did that for a long time, and he may be done with it. We could have been we had missed the, kind of circling back to that. Now we had missed but we never lost touch or anything. Like, because that was the thing too, is like when we stopped, some people asked me if we had like a falling out, which by the history of how the old one went, probably wasn't
It
a fucking
it looked that
bad
way.
question to ask. Yes. So,
Yeah,
so yeah, it was,
definitely looked that way.
but no, we just, it was kind of a mutual thing. And we had kind of hit a wall with what to do. And now kind of back, after a year and a half, uh, hiatus, we realized one thing, that the delivery content is what we appealed. That's what we started with, and that's what we're about. We're not going to try, there's other stuff, there's world events, there's stuff out there that you can't ignore. We're going to talk about a lot of things, but it's going to be delivery related. So
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. So I mean, yeah, like that's the thing. Like Luke said, there was a lot of I think you used the word baggage. Did you say baggage?
I
Uh
said baggage,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. Definitely a lot of baggage with before we uh started the hiatus. There's a crap ton of stuff. But let's not get
And
in too far
and
into that.
even
So
no, and I'm not going to get too far into any baggage, but I'll say, even just with having other people involved, that, excuse me, that you you're good with, like
mhm,
like the Rogans and Nate and stuff. We
mhm,
all, it's still like, after a while, it's not, like, there's, like, basically, I can use Nate for an example now. Like, he's into hiking a lot. You may
yeah,
see Nate on here. We're trying to get him on as a guest, because we're still going to do guests, and it's going to be just
hell yes.
like it was before. I think the other thing we can say, and this is very important to add now, since we're kind of, in getting into why we're decided to do it again,
Mhm,
is we're going to try to still do weekly episodes and have as much stuff as we can. But if there's times we're not, in the old days, say the old days, Jesus, a few years ago, we we did so much shit on the fly that it just like,
Insane.
dude, yeah, it
Insane.
was like if
Looking
any,
back on it, it's
it was
insane.
nuts. It
It's
was
insane.
nuts that we did that. Yeah, like there would be if people, and I'm sure we probably got into it some, but I mean there were literally, and that's again, like Joe and Amy and Nate and
Yeah.
anybody else involved, like they
They they
did
were
they
ready.
did that they did that with us. And
They
that's
were
the thing,
ready.
like people, like when you have people like you have this plan and then
Yeah.
it's like, hey, I just got fucking slammed. I'm going to work till 9 p.m. Or I didn't have
And then we're
I didn't
pushing the podcast back by an hour. We're like, listen, like I'll just 10 costs
yeah.
out for everybody to
And
record,
then
and it's like
exactly, and then we'll if we have to do it the next day, we'll try. And then like, yeah, dude,
or
it
a
was
guest cancels on us. We're like, fuck, like what are we gonna talk about? We had
yeah.
this
Then we just
plan and yeah,
so it's going to be like if we can't get something up or whatever, we're up. We're going to not try to put as much pressure on ourselves, I
yeah,
think, because I always thought that internally. But and I guess the other thing to bring up, if to say if or when, depending on how this goes moving forward and how many episodes we do, if we would ever start a Patreon again for any of the old listeners or for any of the listeners on here that were Patreon members, one thing we appreciate you so much
still
because
blows my
that
mind.
you
People would
guys
pay money to listen to
you
us.
guys but what we had to run this, we don't have as many expenses this time. For some reason, our expenses for the last time were like 3 times as much as they are now. But it also got for the 100th episode. It was you guys kept the train running, and we appreciate you so much.
Hell
Then
yeah.
if we do it again, this is what I was wanting to get at, because I feel like everybody that did it before was they did it just out of support. And that was another reason why I felt obligated that we needed to have weekly episodes, because of more of the Patreon members than anything, because
Hmm.
we did some, but we didn't do enough. So if we do
Absolutely.
Patreon again, we're really going to focus on having like exclusive content for that. But I don't know
Yep.
if it's going to get to that. But
Yeah.
for this being the first episode moving forward and same plans, that I wanted to make sure that was said. If you want to add anything to that, obviously feel
No,
free.
that's well
But
said for me. That is well said.
well,
So yeah,
dude,
I mean, that's definitely what you guys, the listeners, get to look forward to. We are gonna try to do our best to do this weekly. But just like obviously everybody that knows about our job and that does the job, you guys know how tiring it is and how hard it could be. You never know when your day is gonna end. And like Luke said, we right on the fly with everybody, like, oh, now I'm working till 9. Let's do this an hour later. We're not gonna put that stress on ourselves because that was absolutely insane to look back on to see how much
yeah,
we did like that.
it was. I
But
mean, it was fucking, like I said, the fucking shit. And
it was
I don't know.
fun though. Like at the
It
same
was,
time,
yeah.
like
Like
it was a
I don't
blast.
regret.
No.
I've always said, of when we say baggage and like the bat, like of they're literally. I still say, if I had to put a percentage on it, probably still 90 to 95% was all positive. And there
Oh
was
yeah.
just, and I mean, and really, that small percentage of negative, everything just honestly got made right because we all talked again and cleared the air and apologized to each other. So it's a smaller percentage than it was before. But yeah, I always had fun doing it. There's no
Oh
doubt
yeah.
about that. But
And
this
that's why we're back.
episode,
That's why we're back.
yeah,
That's that's
this
it.
would this would be an intro, kind of allowing us to reintroduce ourselves. We weren't going to go too far into this one, but there is one segment that I definitely want to pick your brain on, because well, everything from UPS stuff to everything else, but from the time of our hiatus, what's different and what stayed the same. So I talked about the Diet Six. Dave, what's your
Luke, how
thoughts on
was
the
it?
Diet? It still sucks. It still
Dude,
sucks
I
and
still remember
freezes.
talking about it on whatever episode number it was. And I was like, dude, we just got it. And like, if like, at least then it froze up like so much. I would restart that shit like 4 times a day, maybe. Like, I would have to restart it. Now, at least it's only like once a day. I have to restart it at least once a day,
I feel like
you
mine.
know?
So the one that I actually had that had my route number and stuff on it mysteriously disappeared. Like it's
Yeah.
gone. It must have. I'm assuming I got broken on a Saturday or something. I don't know. So I've just been randomly getting spares, and those spares are just trash. And I, at 5 o'clock rolls around, I'm starting that thing up about 3 times, and I couldn't wait to bring up those Diet Sixes with what's stayed the same.
Yeah.
And another thing that stayed the same, I feel like but it may have improved a little bit. Orion, I feel like, is still very suspect. Now that you're on a route, you have more pickups now than you used to. So does it jack if you would follow Trace now with all the
So,
pickups you have?
so fun, funny story is that route in my building is one of the routes that actually does not run Orion.
Oh, you lucky bastard. God,
Yeah.
man.
So,
Lucky.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it would be that jacked up if
Yeah.
it did, you know?
Yeah, it's probably how mine must be on the brink. Mine must be on the fucking toe of the line where they're like, okay, no, this can work. That's funny, man. I didn't
But
even
yeah.
realize that. But so to give, this is going to come out a little bit later than us recording it, but we are in an election year, and I was telling you before we hopped on of saying to throw this in with things that have changed that would stay the same. Now, we're not going to dive too deep into this because this would be a fucking probably an episode or a damn trilogy in itself because of
Yeah.
just how mind blowing it is. But I told Dave, so we stopped, what was January, New Year's 2023, right? New Year's Day was our last, I think it was right around the very beginning of 2023. We recorded the last episode. Is
Yeah.
that okay? So if you would have told me when we ended the podcast,
Mhm.
and I say this, and I don't even know how to go about it. If you just would have been like, I would have thought it was random as hell, but I wouldn't have been shocked. If you would have just said, hey, Luke, there's going to be an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, and he's going to survive, and Joe Biden is going to drop out of the race. And
All
I would have.
within 10 days of each other?
Well, see, that part I wouldn't have. If you would have just would have told me that by the time we recorded again a year and a half later, I'd have been like, well, that's not like it's not that shocking. I hate to say that. I don't want anybody to die, but the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, I think KFC on Barstool said it best. It's kind of amazing it hasn't happened until now
Yeah.
because of how many people he riles up and they can't stand him. But he obviously he survived it, and then it was like that's what the show. So you telling me that a year and a half ago, I would have not been that shocked by it, but in literally a 10-day span, like you said, dude, we have he gets shot at, then Joe Biden drops out of the race, and it's a whole random thing of events. And we got ourselves an election. And until this thing's over, we're probably going to have to say there's probably going to
Every
just be,
week.
there's going to
Probably
be
there's gonna be something.
I mean, I told Dave before we started recording, I was like, and this was before, and nothing really changes with Kamala. It's still going to be, I think this is still going to be a shit show as far as people. It's going to be a different kind, but it's still going to be. I told Dave, I was like, you know, we're going to go with delivery content and do our stuff, but we just when you got a gem in your lap, that was Biden and Trump. At that point, I was like, it's going to be impossible not to fucking at least like I always think of Alex Lane when we had Alex
Yeah.
on, and he was like, "What's going
What's
on in
going on in
America?"
America?
He said it as soon as the election was over, all the news went dark over there. They didn't hear a thing, so it was so it just that was something I kind of chuckled at when I was
It's
like,
true.
God, the fact that if he would have told me that when we quit recording, I wouldn't have been that surprised. But now saying it as we record this, it's like, holy shit, what's going on?
Going on in
And
America, yeah.
we have I just wanted to throw this in there. This is totally irrelevant to delivery content or not, but anybody that the Hawk Tuah girl, Haley Welsh,
Oh my god.
I have I think she is here to
Don't
stay.
no.
She's here to stay.
No.
And I'm going to tell
God.
you why, because I feel like so obviously you're not excited about this.
No.
I am
She's so
I'm all
fucking
for it.
stupid.
I'm all for it, dude.
Oh
I'm
no.
so excited.
Luke.
Or see, but I don't think what is it because of exactly? Listen, I'm the one that has a daughter here. I told you this would be a nightmare if this was my daughter that with this viral. I said I don't know if it would be like I would rather. There's nothing wrong with doing porn, but if my daughter like if your daughter does porn, they're probably not as famous as Haley Wolf saying Hawk Tuah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Spit on that
okay.
thing.
Yes, I get it.
But that's not. It's I I I don't know. I just feel like there might be a lot more to this girl than the Hawk Tuah, man. People seem to like her, and I think she's gonna be here to stay, dude.
I
I
don't know,
just
dude. I saw a video of her recently where she's on stage at this concert recent, not the one where she was I forgot the one. Anyways, it was one of these country concerts and nobody there was excited to see her. Like no like she didn't even get
oh
cheers.
well,
Nothing.
yeah. It's
It's like
probably
why? Why?
I don't
Because
know.
she
I'm
went
just
on a fucking
I'm just
she
pulling for her, man. I
but it's
think
like
this.
here's the thing. I got so many things with this. Like now you just open up a can. So it's
Oh, I'm
like
so
there's
glad
so
I
many
did.
things with this. Is one, I don't even think she's that good looking. I'm gonna say it. I don't even think she's that good looking.
Well,
Two,
go ahead.
two, I think it's only because first of all, Hawk Tuah is like, okay, that's clever. Like for that to come out of someone's mouth is absolutely wild. So that's why it happened. Another reason why it happened is because she is a blonde Southern girl. So she's got the accent. She's blonde. She's that farmer country girl type, you know, like whatever personality. And because she said the words Hawk Tuah and spit on that thing, like it's that's the only reason, bro.
So do you realize? So just think if we would have started recording this like 2 months ago,
When that happens.
yeah, or even right before that happened, it would be like Back to the Future 2, the sports almanac. If I would have just ran, we would have been like, "Hey, we'll give you like $100 when you come on our podcast," and then we could say, "Hey, we had Haley Welsh on the podcast, just super start, jump start to
God.
to." But dude, I think,
Jesus.
I think it I don't I don't know, man. It just I think because I think she's trying to use her viral moment in a
Yep.
different way, and it seems like in a positive way, dude. She does like animal shelter work and shit I've seen. So I feel like this you don't see viral people really. I feel like they don't, they I don't want to say they don't. I feel like it's insensitive to say they don't make it because shit, she's made enough. She's made a lot of money from this already. So for me
100%.
to be like she doesn't
100%
make
she
it
has.
is a fucking asinine thing to say. But Yeah, I don't know. It was I mean, when we quit doing this, that I made a video to this because it was one of the greatest comments I've ever seen where it said Tiffany Gomez walked so Hawk Tuah girl could run. Tiffany Gomez was the woman on the plane that said that motherfucker is not real or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That person back then is not real.
Had some wild shit happen, bro.
God, dude, we've had so much, but all I can say is that it's good to be back, and
Absolutely.
we're going to start with the question of the week soon enough. This was
Yeah.
kind of a reintroduction.
Yeah. We'll be back with the question of the week for episode 2 and so on. So, no doubt.
Damn, dude.
You have anything else for this one, bro?
I don't. I feel like we accomplished what we needed to say. It's fucking it's good to be back.
It is good to be back. Thank you all for coming back and being with us and letting us be inside your ears or wherever you're listening. So next week, catch us next week. Episodes every Monday morning. These episodes will be up for you guys. So episode 2 will be next week. I'm Dave, my co-host Luke, guys. We'll be back soon enough. We'll catch you all later.
Later, everybody.